I'm so glad you found your way here tonight. Your brain is already beginning to slow its signals, releasing the day, one thought at a time, preparing for one of the most healing processes in all of biology. You'll discover why sleep comes easier than you think, and understand why your body already knows exactly what to do. Welcome to Sleep Science Documentary. Wherever you are right now, perhaps lying in the soft dark of your room, feeling the weight of your body settle into something still, allow yourself to simply be here. We'll journey through 100 sleep science facts about falling asleep, from the first quiet chemical shifts that begin the moment your eyes close, to the deep architecture of the sleeping brain, to the science of why rest finds you. These gentle journeys through sleep science create a quiet gathering place for restless minds. A soft like, subscribe, or a shared thought in the comments helps other sleepless souls find their way here and brings us closer to protecting this peaceful space. One sleepy soul at a time. Your presence here means everything to us. Settle deeper into your pillows now. Let your shoulders release, your jaw unclench, your breath find its own unhurried pace. There is nothing that needs doing now. Just feel that warm, drowsy heaviness beginning to spread through you, like a tide pulling gently back from shore, drawing you towards sleep. Close your eyes and breathe deeply. You're resting where your body already knows the way to sleep. Let your mind drift with the science of rest. And now we begin. Sleep is not the absence of wakefulness. It is an active, carefully orchestrated biological state. For much of human history, people assumed the sleeping body was simply resting, doing very little. But modern neuroscience has revealed something quite different. During sleep, your brain runs complex maintenance programs. Your immune system accelerates its repair work, and your heart rate, breathing, and body temperature shift into carefully managed rhythms. Sleep is one of the most metabolically active states the human body enters. The National Institutes of Health describes sleep as essential to nearly every process that keeps the body alive and functioning well. Far from doing nothing, your body tonight is quietly doing everything it knows how to do. Sleep happens in cycles, each lasting roughly 90 minutes. A typical night of sleep contains 4 to 6 of these complete cycles, each one moving through distinct stages. The stages include light sleep, deeper slow-wave sleep, and the dream-rich phase, known as REM, or rapid eye movement sleep. Each stage serves a different purpose. Light sleep is a transition. Deep slow-wave sleep is when your body does its heaviest physical repair. REM sleep is when the brain consolidates memories, processes emotions, and sorts through the experiences of the day. These cycles repeat through the night, and the balance between stages shifts. Early cycles contain more deep sleep. Later cycles contain more REM. Your brain manages all of this automatically, without any instruction from you. The drive to sleep builds throughout the day through a process called sleep pressure, or adenosine accumulation. Adenosine is a chemical byproduct of neural activity. Every hour you spend awake, adenosine levels in your brain rise slowly and steadily. By the time evening arrives, adenosine has accumulated enough to create a powerful pull towards sleep. This is why the pull towards sleep in the evening feels so natural. so inevitable. It is not something to resist or question. It is simply chemistry, doing exactly what it was designed to do. Researchers at the University of California, Berkeley have described adenosine as the brain's own sleep signal, a quiet molecular voice that grows louder with every passing hour of wakefulness. When you finally lie down, that voice is at its fullest, and it is asking you, very gently, to let go. Caffeine works by blocking adenosine receptors, not by reducing adenosine itself. This is an important distinction. When you drink coffee or tea, the caffeine molecules temporarily occupy the same receptor sites that adenosine would normally bind to. The adenosine is still there, still accumulating, but your brain cannot read its signal. When the caffeine eventually clears, usually within 4 to 6 hours, the full weight of all that accumulated adenosine arrives at once. This is why the drowsiness after caffeine can feel so sudden and heavy. Sleep researchers now recommend stopping caffeine intake at least 8 to 10 hours before your intended sleep time. Not because caffeine is harmful in itself, but because it delays your brain's ability to receive the sleep signal it has been building all day. Your body temperature drops as you fall asleep. This cooling is not a side effect of sleep. It is one of the triggers that initiates it. In the hour or two before natural sleep onset, your core body temperature begins to fall by roughly 1 degree Fahrenheit. A shift small in measure but significant in what it signals to the body's sleep systems. This drop is managed by the brain's hypothalamus, which coordinates a gentle redistribution of warmth toward your hands and feet. As heat radiates from your extremities, your core cools, and sleepiness intensifies. Researchers have found that people who find it difficult to fall asleep often show disrupted thermoregulation, a difficulty shedding that core heat efficiently. Warm baths or showers taken about 90 minutes before bed can actually help by drawing blood to the surface and accelerating the cooling that the brain is already trying to accomplish. Melatonin is often called the hormone of darkness. It is produced by the pineal gland, a small structure deep in the center of the brain, and its release is triggered not by the time of day itself, but by the fading of light. As the sun goes down and light levels drop, specialized cells in your eyes send a signal through the retino-hypothalamic tract to the suprachiasmatic nucleus, your brain's master biological clock. That clock then sends a signal to the pineal gland to begin releasing melatonin into your bloodstream. Melatonin does not cause sleep directly. It is a chemical signal to the rest of your body that darkness has arrived and that the conditions for sleep are now present. It is an announcement, not a sedative. The suprachiasmatic nucleus, often abbreviated as SCN, is a tiny cluster of roughly 20,000 neurons located just above where the optic nerves cross in the brain. Despite its small size, it functions as the master pacemaker for nearly every biological rhythm in the human body. It governs not just sleep and waking, but also hormone release, metabolism, immune activity, and even the timing of cell division. Research published in the journal Nature has found that disruptions to SCN signaling are associated with a wide range of health outcomes beyond sleep, including metabolic and cardiovascular changes. This tiny cluster of cells coordinates a symphony of biology that most of us never consciously notice. Tonight, it is doing exactly what it was designed to do. Light is the most powerful regulator of your circadian clock. Specifically, blue wavelength light, which is most abundant in daylight and in the screens of phones and computers, suppresses melatonin and signals wakefulness to the SCN. Research from Harvard Medical School found that blue light exposure in the evening can delay melatonin release by up to 3 hours, pushing the natural sleep window significantly later. This is why sleep scientists consistently recommend reducing screen exposure in the hour or two before bed. It is not a matter of mental stimulation alone. It is a matter of chemistry. When your eyes receive blue light at night, your biological clock interprets it as daytime and delays the cascade of changes that make falling asleep possible. There is a specific point in the evening, unique to each individual, called the circadian sleep gate. Before this gate opens, the body gently resists sleep, even if you feel tired. Afterward, sleep comes far more readily. This resistance in the early evening is sometimes called the wake maintenance zone, a period in which the brain's arousal systems remain active in anticipation of the final hours of wakefulness. People who try to sleep before their individual gate opens often find themselves lying awake despite exhaustion. The sleep gate is determined by your chronotype, your genetically influenced preference for earlier or later sleep timing. Understanding when your gate opens and waiting for it can make the process of falling asleep feel considerably more natural. The transition from wakefulness into sleep is marked by a gradual shift in brainwave activity. While you are awake and alert, your brain generates beta waves, rapid oscillations of electrical activity associated with active thought and sensory processing. As you begin to relax, these give way to slower alpha waves, the rhythm of calm, unfocused awareness. As you drift closer to sleep, alpha waves slow further into theta waves. This theta state is the hypnagogic threshold, the gentle border between waking and sleep. Many people experience brief, vivid imagery or sudden muscle twitches in this state. The twitches, called hypnic jerks, are completely normal and are thought to be a gentle artifact of the motor system releasing its waking muscle tone. You are already familiar with this place. You visit it every night. Stage 1, sleep, also called N1, is the lightest stage of sleep. It typically lasts only 1 to 7 minutes in the first cycle of the night. In this stage, your breathing slows. Your eyes begin to move slowly beneath your lids, and your muscle activity decreases. Theta waves dominate. Awareness of the external world fades, though a soft sound or a touch can easily return you to wakefulness. Many people in N1 sleep do not actually realize they have fallen asleep. They may later report that they were simply thinking with their eyes closed. This is one of the reasons people who find sleep difficult often underestimate how much sleep they actually get. The line between late wakefulness and early sleep is softer than it feels from the inside. Stage 2, sleep, or N2, is where you spend the largest portion of your night, roughly half of total sleep time. The brain produces brief bursts of rapid electrical activity called sleep spindles, as well as sharp waveforms called K-complexes. Sleep spindles, which occur 12 to 15 times per second in short bursts, are now understood to be closely tied to memory consolidation. Research from the Max Planck Institute for Human Cognitive and Brain Sciences found that the density of sleep spindles, meaning how many a person generates per night, correlates significantly with their ability to retain new information. Every sleep spindle is, in a sense, a tiny act of learning. Your brain does this automatically, hundreds of times a night, while you rest. Slow-wave sleep, also called deep sleep or N3, is the most restorative stage of the sleep cycle. During slow-wave sleep, the brain generates large, synchronized delta waves, oscillating at less than 4 times per second. Growth hormone is released in pulses during this stage, supporting cellular repair, muscle recovery, and immune function. It is the hardest stage to wake from, and the one from which waking leaves you feeling most disoriented. Children and young adults spend more time in slow-wave sleep than older adults, which is one reason recovery from illness and physical exertion tends to be more rapid in younger people. As we age, the architecture of sleep shifts, and deep sleep becomes shorter, lighter, and less frequent. The glymphatic system is one of the most significant sleep-related discoveries of the past decade. Discovered by neuroscientist Micah Nedegard and her colleagues at the University of Rochester, the glymphatic system is a network of fluid-filled channels running alongside blood vessels in the brain, lined by supportive brain cells called astrocytes. These channels allow cerebrospinal fluid to move through brain tissue during sleep, carrying away metabolic byproducts that accumulate across the waking day. Among the substances cleared is beta amyloid, a protein associated with neurodegeneration when it accumulates. Research published in Nature Neuroscience confirmed that this glymphatic clearance is considerably more efficient during sleep than during wakefulness. Sleep, in this sense, is the brain taking out its own garbage. Every night, without fail. REM sleep was first described scientifically in 1953 by Eugene Aserinsky and Nathaniel Kleitman at the University of Chicago. They noticed that sleeping participants showed rapid, darting eye movements under their lids at regular intervals through the night, and that when woken during these periods, they almost always reported vivid dreaming. REM stands for rapid eye movement. During REM sleep, the brain is highly active, showing electrical patterns similar to wakefulness. But the body is essentially in a state of deep muscle relaxation, called REM atonia, caused by signals from the brainstem that suppress voluntary muscle movement. This relaxation is protective. It prevents the sleeping body from acting out the vivid experiences the dreaming brain is creating. It is one of the most elegant safeguards in all of human biology. During REM sleep, emotional memories are specifically processed and recontextualized. Matthew Walker, a sleep scientist at the University of California, Berkeley, describes REM sleep as a form of overnight emotional therapy. The brain replays emotionally significant experiences from the day, but does so in a neurochemical environment notably low in norepinephrine, the stress-related neurotransmitter. This low norepinephrine state allows the emotional content of memories to be reprocessed without the same intensity of feeling. This is one reason that sleep after a difficult experience tends to make it feel more manageable by the following morning. Research published in the Journal of Neuroscience has confirmed that REM disruption, even mild disruption, significantly affects emotional regulation the following day. Sleep and the immune system are deeply intertwined. During the first few hours of sleep, certain immune cells, particularly T cells, are released into circulation in higher numbers than during wakefulness. These T cells play a central role in identifying and responding to pathogens. Research from the German Center for Neurodegenerative Diseases found that a molecule called integrin, which helps T cells adhere to infected cells and respond to them, is activated more efficiently during sleep. In practical terms, people who sleep fewer than 6 hours per night are considerably more likely to develop a respiratory infection when exposed to a virus than those who sleep 7 to 9 hours. Your immune system is not just benefiting from sleep, it is supported by it in ways that wakefulness alone cannot replicate. The human sleep need is genuinely individual, but the range is narrower than popular culture suggests. The American Academy of Sleep Medicine and the Sleep Research Society jointly recommend 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night for adults. Research, led by David Dinges at the University of Pennsylvania, showed that cognitive changes from sleeping 6 hours per night accumulate over days, even when the sleeper does not feel subjectively affected. This is sometimes called sleep debt blindness. The longer the sleep restriction continues, the more judgment is affected, and the less aware a person becomes of their own changing state. A small number of people carry genetic variants that allow them to rest fully in fewer hours. These variants are genuinely rare, and for most of us, the body simply works best when it is given the time it asks for. Light exposure in the morning is just as valuable as reducing it in the evening. When your eyes receive bright, preferably natural light, within the first hour of waking, the suprachiasmatic nucleus receives a strong timing signal that anchors your circadian rhythm to the actual solar day. This morning light pulse suppresses residual melatonin, raises cortisol appropriately for morning alertness, and sets a timer that determines when melatonin will rise again that evening. Sleep researchers, including Andrew Huberman at Stanford, have consistently emphasized morning light as one of the most accessible and cost-free tools for improving sleep quality. 10 minutes of outdoor light on a clear morning, or 20 to 30 minutes on a cloudy one, is often sufficient to set the circadian anchor for the entire day. The term insomnia describes difficulty falling asleep, staying asleep, or waking too early. When those difficulties cause daytime effects, it affects roughly 10 to 15% of adults chronically, and up to 30% at some point in their lives. According to the American Sleep Association, insomnia is not simply a nighttime problem. It is a 24-hour condition. People with insomnia show elevated physiological and cognitive arousal throughout the entire day, not just at night. This is sometimes described as hyperarousal, a state in which the nervous system is running at a slightly higher baseline than in people without insomnia. Understanding insomnia as a condition of sustained arousal, rather than simply a nighttime difficulty, has significantly changed how it is approached and supported. Cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, or CBTI, is now widely recognized as the most effective first-line approach for chronic insomnia, producing more durable results than sleep medications over the long term. A meta-analysis published in Sleep Medicine Reviews confirmed that CBTI produces lasting improvements in sleep onset time, sleep efficiency, and subjective sleep quality, and that these improvements are maintained at 12-month follow-up. CBTI includes several components: sleep restriction therapy, stimulus control, cognitive restructuring of sleep-related beliefs, and sleep hygiene guidance. Unlike medication, it addresses the underlying behavioral and cognitive patterns that maintain insomnia, rather than temporarily easing symptoms. It is available through trained therapists and increasingly through digital platforms. The bedroom environment has measurable effects on sleep quality. Temperature is among the most studied variables. The National Sleep Foundation recommends a bedroom temperature between 65 and 68 degrees Fahrenheit as well suited for most adults. Research shows that room temperatures above 75 degrees Fahrenheit significantly increase wakefulness and reduce time in slow-wave sleep. Darkness is equally valuable. Even small amounts of light reaching closed eyelids can suppress melatonin and shift the circadian phase. Sound is the third major environmental factor. Research from the Cleveland Clinic found that irregular, unpredictable sounds are more disruptive than consistent ones, which is why continuous soft ambient sound can actually improve sleep in noisy environments by gently masking sudden interruptions. Exercise has a well-documented positive effect on sleep quality, and the body of research consistently shows that people who move regularly tend to fall asleep more readily and sleep more deeply than those who are sedentary. Moderate aerobic exercise performed earlier in the day consistently improves slow-wave sleep and reduces the time it takes to fall asleep. Vigorous exercise within 1 to 2 hours of bedtime may delay sleep onset in some people, likely due to the temporary increase in core body temperature and nervous system activation it produces. Research across multiple large studies has found that morning and afternoon activity are most consistently associated with shorter sleep onset time and higher overall sleep quality. The body sleeps better when it has moved, and better still, when it has had time to settle afterward. Alcohol is widely misunderstood as a sleep aid. While alcohol does accelerate sleep onset and may increase time in slow-wave sleep in the first half of the night, it significantly disrupts sleep in the second half. As the liver metabolizes alcohol, it produces metabolites that fragment sleep, reduce REM, and cause repeated awakenings in the early morning hours. Research has consistently found that even moderate alcohol consumption in the evening, typically 1 to 2 drinks, disrupts the second half of the night's sleep, reducing time in REM and increasing nighttime wakefulness as the body processes what it has been given. Many people who drink to help them sleep report waking at 2 or 3 in the morning without understanding why. The body is not malfunctioning. It is working through what was given to it. Sleep deprivation has measurable effects on physical health over time. A study published in Nature Communications found that consistently sleeping fewer than 6 hours per night in midlife was associated with different health profiles across multiple organ systems compared to those sleeping 7 to 8 hours. Ongoing research at the University of Oslo has found that the glymphatic system's waste clearance capacity may be affected by chronic sleep restriction, even before any clinical signs appear. Sleep is not something the body offers as optional. It is foundational, as necessary as water, as natural as breathing, and the body keeps its own quiet account of what it is given. Let's pause here and notice your body. As you breathe out slowly, appreciate each tiny cell inside. Trillions of organisms working in silence. Heart beating, lungs breathing, brain thinking, all without your command. Right now, your glymphatic system is beginning its nightly work. Fluid, moving gently through channels in your brain, clearing the day away. You don't need to direct any of this. Notice the gentle sensations on your skin, in your muscles, along your spine. You are a complete ecosystem, diverse, self-balancing. Now we continue. The two-process model of sleep regulation was first described by Alexander Borbély in 1982, and it remains one of the most influential frameworks in sleep science. It proposes that sleep is governed by two simultaneous processes. Process S, the homeostatic sleep drive, the biological pressure that builds through every waking hour, and Process C, the circadian signal generated by the suprachiasmatic nucleus. These two processes interact continuously. When they align, when both are calling for sleep at the same time, sleep onset tends to be rapid and restful. When they conflict, for example when someone tries to sleep during the day against their circadian signal, sleep becomes more difficult to initiate and maintain. Understanding this two-process model helps explain why sleep timing, not just sleep duration, matters so much. The body's natural sleep tendency does not arrive in a single wave. Most adults experience a secondary dip in alertness in the early afternoon, typically between 1 and 3 in the afternoon. This is sometimes attributed entirely to the post-lunch blood sugar response. But research has shown it occurs even in people who have not eaten at midday. It corresponds to a natural dip in the circadian arousal signal. In many cultures, afternoon rest or brief napping has been practiced for centuries. Short naps of 10 to 20 minutes taken during this window can restore alertness and cognitive performance without significantly disrupting nighttime sleep. Naps longer than 30 minutes risk entering slow-wave sleep and can produce a groggy feeling on waking, a state called sleep inertia. Sleep spindles are generated by a structure called the thalamus, which sits at the center of the brain and acts as a relay station between the body and the cortex. During sleep, the thalamus enters a mode in which it oscillates between brief periods of activity and silence, producing the characteristic 12 to 15 Hz bursts that appear on an EEG as sleep spindles. These spindles are not random. They are coordinated with slow oscillations in the cortex and sharp waves from the hippocampus, forming a precise three-part rhythm that researchers believe is fundamental to how the sleeping brain transfers information from short-term storage into long-term memory. The sleeping brain is not quiet. It is coordinating a conversation between its own regions. Memory consolidation during sleep was once thought to involve only the hippocampus, the brain structure associated with forming new memories. But research over the past decade has revealed a more distributed process. During slow-wave sleep, the hippocampus replays patterns of neural activity that occurred during the day and transmits them to the cortex, which integrates them into existing knowledge networks. This hippocampal cortical dialogue allows overnight sleep to transform newly acquired information from fragile, context-dependent memories into more stable, flexible knowledge. Research from the Salk Institute confirmed that this replay process is selective, that the brain appears to prioritize replaying experiences with higher emotional or personal relevance. Your brain is sorting what matters. The relationship between sleep and appetite regulation is well established. Two hormones play central roles: ghrelin, which signals hunger, and leptin, which signals fullness. A single night of insufficient sleep, defined in most studies as fewer than 6 hours, measurably affects ghrelin and leptin levels in the blood in ways that increase appetite the following day. Research has found that people who are sleep-restricted tend to consume meaningfully more calories per day, often several hundred more, with a consistent preference for energy-dense, salty, and sweet foods. The body, it seems, looks for in food what it could not find in rest. These appetite effects are not a matter of willpower. They are hormonal. Cortisol, sometimes called the alertness hormone, follows a precise daily pattern tied closely to sleep. It reaches its lowest point shortly after sleep begins, rises gradually through the night, and peaks in the early morning, just before and around the time of natural waking. This morning cortisol rise serves a specific purpose. It initiates the mobilization of glucose, raises body temperature, increases alertness, and prepares the cardiovascular system for the demands of the waking day. Disrupted or insufficient sleep can blunt this morning cortisol rhythm, contributing to daytime fatigue, difficulty concentrating, and a less resilient stress response. The normal cortisol curve is not just a consequence of good sleep. It is, in part, created by it. Dreaming occurs primarily during REM sleep, though some dreaming, typically less vivid and more thought-like, also occurs during non-REM stages. The question of why we dream remains one of the most genuinely open in neuroscience. Several major hypotheses coexist in current research. One proposes that dreams serve an emotional regulation function, allowing the brain to process difficult experiences in a gentler context. Another suggests that dreams are the byproduct of memory consolidation, the narrative experience of the hippocampus, replaying and reorganizing the day. A third hypothesis proposes that dreaming evolved as a kind of rehearsal space for navigating complex situations. Most sleep researchers now believe these functions are not mutually exclusive. Dreams may serve several purposes at once. Lucid dreaming is the experience of becoming consciously aware that you are dreaming while remaining in the dream state. It was first recorded scientifically by Keith Hearn in the late 1970s, and later brought to wider attention by Stephen LaBerge at Stanford, whose published research in the early 1980s confirmed that sleeping participants could signal their awareness to researchers through deliberate eye movements during REM sleep. Functional MRI studies have shown that during lucid dreaming, the prefrontal cortex, an area associated with self-awareness and reflection, shows increased activation compared to non-lucid REM sleep. Lucid dreaming occurs naturally in roughly 20% of the population and can be cultivated through specific practices. It sits at a remarkable boundary. The brain is simultaneously in the biological state of sleep and capable of reflective self-awareness. Sleep talking, or somniloquy, occurs most often during the transitions between sleep stages. It can involve complete sentences, fragments, or unintelligible sounds, and the speaker has no memory of it upon waking. Sleep talking is more common in children and tends to decrease with age. It is generally considered harmless and is not a sleep disorder unless it is associated with other disruptive behaviors during sleep. Research published in the journal Sleep analyzed the content of sleep-talked sentences and found that the language patterns closely mirrored waking speech, including similar rates of negation, question formation, and emotional expression. Whatever the sleeping mind is processing, it seems to be using the full vocabulary of waking life. Sleepwalking, or somnambulism, occurs during slow-wave sleep, not during REM. This is why sleepwalkers are not acting out dreams. They are partially aroused from deep sleep in a state in which the motor cortex is active, but the parts of the brain responsible for memory formation and full consciousness are not. Sleepwalkers can perform surprisingly complex behaviors without any awareness or later recall. Research published in the New England Journal of Medicine found that sleepwalking occurs in roughly 1 to 4% of adults and is influenced by genetics, sleep deprivation, and elevated stress. During a sleepwalking episode, gently guiding the person back to bed is generally considered safer than waking them abruptly. Sleep paralysis is the experience of waking from REM sleep, while the body's deep muscle relaxation has not yet fully lifted. The person is conscious but temporarily unable to move. The experience can last from a few seconds to a few minutes and is often accompanied by vivid, hypnagogic imagery, visual or auditory experiences generated by the still active dreaming brain. Sleep paralysis affects an estimated 8% of the general population at least once in their lives. It is more common in people with irregular sleep schedules and those who are sleep deprived. Despite feeling unsettling in the moment, sleep paralysis is physiologically harmless. It resolves on its own as the brainstem completes its transition back to wakefulness. Narcolepsy is a neurological condition caused by the loss of neurons in the hypothalamus that produce a neuropeptide called orexin, also known as hypocretin. Orexin is a key stabilizer of the boundary between wakefulness and sleep. Without sufficient orexin signaling, the transition mechanisms between states become less stable, leading to sudden sleep episodes, fragmented nighttime sleep, and other features of REM sleep appearing at unusual times. Research has confirmed that the orexin system is central not only to narcolepsy, but to the healthy regulation of waking and sleeping in all people. Understanding orexin has also led to a newer class of sleep support medications that work by gently reducing the orexin signal that calls for wakefulness. Sleep architecture changes across the human lifespan in consistent and predictable ways. Newborns sleep up to 18 hours per day, and roughly half of that time is spent in a state equivalent to REM sleep. As the brain matures, total sleep time decreases, and the proportion of REM decreases as well. By early adulthood, REM makes up roughly 20 to 25% of total sleep. By the age of 60, the percentage of slow-wave sleep has decreased compared to young adulthood, and nighttime awakenings become more frequent. These changes are normal and reflect the shifting functional priorities of the aging brain. The body sleeps differently at every age, but the need for sleep never disappears. Teenagers are not simply choosing to stay up late. Puberty involves a genuine biological shift in circadian timing, causing the sleep gate to move significantly later. A teenager whose natural sleep gate opens at midnight is not being difficult when they cannot fall asleep at 10 in the evening. They are following a circadian schedule that biology has set. Research informing recommendations from the American Academy of Pediatrics, which suggests that middle and high schools start no earlier than 8:30 in the morning, has shown that school start times aligned with adolescent circadian biology are associated with improvements in academic performance, attendance, and well-being among teenage students. This is one of the most consistently supported findings in applied sleep science. Napping has a long and cross-cultural history. Evidence of biphasic sleep, a pattern involving a longer nighttime sleep and a shorter afternoon rest, has been found in historical records from ancient Rome, Renaissance Europe, and equatorial cultures worldwide. Some anthropologists and sleep historians have proposed that the modern expectation of a single consolidated nighttime sleep is a relatively recent cultural development tied to artificial lighting and industrial schedules. Studies of people in extended dark environments have shown spontaneous emergence of a two-phase sleep pattern in some individuals, suggesting that biphasic sleep may be a natural variant of human rest biology rather than a deviation from it. You're still here, still breathing slowly, still drifting through these gentle facts. Take a quiet breath. Notice how your body feels a little softer now, a little heavier, as if the science of sleep is settling into you as much as around you. We're exploring the quietest machinery in all of biology together. You and I and everyone listening in the dark tonight. There's no hurry, no destination, just the soft pull of curiosity carrying us forward. Let's continue. The brain's default mode network, a set of interconnected regions that activates during rest and inward-directed thought, is highly active during the hypnagogic state, the transition into sleep. This network includes areas associated with self-referential thought, memory retrieval, and imagination. The vivid, loosely narrative imagery many people experience just before sleep. Scenes that do not quite make sense, fragments of memory blending with invented detail, is partly a product of this network running without the top-down steadiness of the prefrontal cortex. As wakefulness recedes, the brain's storytelling machinery does not turn off. It simply loses its editor. Mindfulness-based practices have been shown in multiple randomized controlled trials to improve sleep quality in people with insomnia and subclinical sleep difficulties. A comprehensive review published in JAMA Internal Medicine found that mindfulness meditation produced meaningful improvements in insomnia severity, sleep quality, fatigue, and mood. Researchers believe mindfulness may reduce the cognitive overactivity that maintains insomnia by training the practitioner to observe intrusive thoughts without engaging with them. Body scan practices, in which attention is moved slowly and deliberately through the body, are particularly associated with reduced sleep onset time. The simple act of noticing, without judging, begins to quiet the system that would otherwise keep it awake. Pink noise, a type of sound that decreases in intensity at higher frequencies, has been studied for its potential to enhance slow-wave sleep and support memory consolidation. Early research from Northwestern University found that pink noise, timed to align with the slow oscillations of deep sleep, was associated with improved memory performance the following morning in a small group of older adults. The findings were considered preliminary but intriguing, and the field of acoustic sleep enhancement has continued to develop, with researchers exploring its potential applications for people experiencing age-related changes in sleep depth. The brain, it turns out, remains responsive to the sound environment around it, even in deep sleep. The gut-brain axis, the bidirectional communication pathway between the gastrointestinal microbiome and the central nervous system, has emerged as a notable area of sleep research. Gut bacteria produce several neurochemicals relevant to sleep, including precursors to serotonin and gamma-aminobutyric acid, or GABA, which is the brain's primary calming neurotransmitter and a key component of sleep initiation. Emerging research has found associations between gut microbiome composition and sleep quality in human populations. While this area of science is still developing, the findings suggest that the health of the digestive system and the quality of nighttime rest may be more intimately connected than was previously understood. The parasympathetic nervous system, sometimes called the rest and digest system, is the physiological counterpart to the fight or flight response. Its activation is associated with reduced heart rate, slower breathing, lower blood pressure, and a state of calm that supports sleep onset. Techniques that encourage parasympathetic activity, such as slow diaphragmatic breathing, progressive muscle relaxation, and gentle humming, work in part because they directly shift the body's autonomic balance. A breathing pattern particularly associated with sleep research involves inhaling for 4 seconds and exhaling slowly for 6 to 8 seconds. The extended exhale activates the vagus nerve, which carries calming signals from the brainstem to the heart and other organs. Stress and sleep have a bidirectional relationship. Stress affects sleep, and poor sleep amplifies the stress response. At the neurobiological level, the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, which governs the stress response, and the sleep-wake regulatory system share overlapping circuitry and influence each other directly. Elevated cortisol from ongoing stress reduces slow-wave sleep and fragments REM. Conversely, sleep restriction increases cortisol reactivity the following day. Research from the University of Pittsburgh found that interventions targeting the sleep-stress cycle from either direction tend to produce improvements in both. Improving sleep reduces stress reactivity. Reducing perceived stress improves sleep. The two systems are a loop. Rumination, the repetitive cycling of anxious or unresolved thoughts, is one of the most common reasons people lie awake at night. At the neurobiological level, rumination appears to involve elevated connectivity between the default mode network and the amygdala, the brain's primary emotional processing center. Research from the Netherlands Institute for Neuroscience found that people with high ruminative tendencies show different patterns of pre-sleep brain activity on EEG, with more high-frequency frontal activity persisting into the early sleep period. Writing down worries or unresolved tasks before bed, a technique sometimes called constructive worry, has been shown in randomized trials to reduce sleep onset time by giving the brain a sense that the content has been acknowledged and set aside. The relationship between body position and sleep quality has been studied with increasing care. Sleeping on the side, particularly the left side, has been associated in some research with more efficient glymphatic clearance compared to back or front sleeping. A study in the Journal of Neuroscience found that the glymphatic system operates somewhat differently across body positions. with lateral positions appearing to support more optimal fluid flow. Additionally, sleeping on the back is associated with higher rates of snoring and upper airway narrowing in people prone to those patterns. The ideal sleep position is individual, but research increasingly suggests that side sleeping may offer some gentle physiological advantages for the brain's nightly clearing process. Ongoing sleep restriction, defined as consistently sleeping fewer than 7 hours per night over weeks or months, has been associated in large-scale studies with elevated inflammatory markers in the blood. A major study published in Nature Communications, drawing on data from nearly 500,000 participants in the UK Biobank, found that people who slept fewer than 6 hours per night consistently showed different health profiles across multiple organ systems compared to those who slept 7 to 8 hours. The researchers were measured in their conclusions, as science tends to be. But the pattern they found was steady and consistent, observed again and again across very different people and places. We are now halfway through our journey, and the picture that has emerged so far is one of extraordinary complexity, precision, and elegance. Sleep is not a passive state that simply happens when the brain runs down. It is an actively constructed biological event, governed by interacting chemical, electrical, hormonal, and circadian systems. It repairs the body, consolidates the mind, regulates emotion, clears the brain's waste, and anchors the immune system. Every system in the human body benefits from sleep, and every system feels the effects of its absence in measurable ways. This is not coincidence. It is the result of hundreds of millions of years of evolutionary refinement. Sleep is something the body does because it has learned, across deep time, that it cannot thrive without it. Let each breath guide you to realize, time is yours tonight, a separate stream that only you are living. Every cell in your body is somewhere in its own cycle right now. Some are dividing quietly. Some are resting. Some are repairing. Trillions of tiny timekeepers, all working together in the dark. This second you're breathing, listening, is unique. No one else is here in exactly this way. Cherish the present moment, knowing that right now, your time is your own. And we continue, slowly. The pineal gland, though only the size of a grain of rice, is one of the few brain structures that sits outside the blood-brain barrier. This positioning may allow it to respond more directly to chemical signals in the bloodstream. In non-mammalian vertebrates, the pineal gland is directly photosensitive, capable of detecting light through the skull. In humans, this direct light sensitivity has been largely replaced by the retinal input pathway. But the pineal's fundamental role as the interface between the external light environment and the internal hormonal clock has been preserved across hundreds of millions of years of evolution. Melatonin supplements are sometimes taken to assist with sleep. Research consistently shows that melatonin is most useful for shifting the timing of sleep, as in jet lag or shift work adjustment, rather than for deepening sleep itself. A meta-analysis in the Journal of Sleep Research confirmed that melatonin reduces sleep onset time modestly by roughly 7 minutes on average, but has more limited effect on total sleep duration or quality in people without circadian rhythm disruption. The typical over-the-counter dose in the United States, often 5 or 10 milligrams, is considerably higher than the physiological dose, usually around 1/3 to 1 milligram, that produces a detectable effect in the body. The retina contains a third class of photoreceptors, beyond rods and cones, called intrinsically photosensitive retinal ganglion cells, or IPRGCs. These cells contain a photopigment called melanopsin and are specifically sensitive to short wavelength blue light. They project not to the visual cortex, but directly to the suprachiasmatic nucleus, providing the circadian clock with real-time information about ambient light. Discovered by David Burson and colleagues at Brown University in 2002, IPRGCs are now understood to be the primary pathway through which light regulates human circadian timing. They are present even in some people who are visually blind, which is why those individuals can still maintain some degree of circadian light sensitivity. Warm baths or showers, taken approximately 90 minutes before bed, appear to support sleep onset in a gentle and counterintuitive way. The warm water causes blood vessels near the skin to dilate, drawing warm blood to the surface of the body. When you step out of the bath, this warmth radiates away, and core body temperature drops. This accelerated cooling works with the natural pre-sleep temperature shift that the body attempts on its own. A systematic review, published in Sleep Medicine Reviews, found that bathing in water between 100 and 104 degrees Fahrenheit in the hour or two before bed reduced sleep onset time by an average of 10 minutes across multiple studies. The relationship between ongoing pain and sleep is often described as a cycle that moves in both directions. Pain affects sleep by increasing nighttime arousal and fragmenting slow-wave sleep. Poor sleep, in turn, lowers pain tolerance and increases sensitivity to discomfort. Research from the National Institutes of Health has confirmed that the sleep-pain relationship is mediated in part by the brain's own pain-modulating chemistry, which functions more effectively after adequate sleep. Interventions that support sleep quality have been shown to reduce subjective pain ratings in people with persistent pain. Rest and comfort are not separate. They tend to move together. Social jet lag is the term coined by sleep researcher Till Roneberg to describe the discrepancy between a person's biological sleep timing and the socially imposed timing of their schedule. If your circadian biology calls for sleep between midnight and 8 in the morning, but work requires you to wake at 6, you're experiencing 2 hours of social jet lag. Research has shown that the magnitude of social jet lag correlates with measures of metabolic health, mood, and cardiovascular well-being. It is a form of ongoing, low-level circadian misalignment that affects a large portion of the working population without always being recognized as a contributor to fatigue and difficulty sleeping. The idea of catching up on sleep during weekends has been studied carefully. Research has shown that while weekend recovery sleep can partially address some of the cognitive effects of a sleep-restricted week, it does not fully restore all measures of performance and does not undo the hormonal and metabolic effects of the preceding sleep restriction. A study published in Current Biology found that people who tried to compensate for weekday sleep restriction with weekend sleep still showed changes in caloric intake, weight, and insulin sensitivity compared to a control group that maintained consistent sleep schedules. The regularity of sleep timing appears to be nearly as valuable as sleep duration. Core body temperature and wrist skin temperature move in opposite directions around sleep onset. As core temperature drops, skin temperature rises. This pattern, called the distal proximal skin temperature gradient, is measurable and tells its own quiet story about the body's transition toward rest. Researchers at the University of Basel found that the rate of change in this gradient correlates with how quickly a person falls asleep. This gradient is distinct from the overall core cooling described earlier. It measures not just that cooling happens, but how its direction and speed reflect the body preparing itself for rest. What the sleeping body knows as warmth in the hands and coolness in the center is a biological signature, written in temperature. Sleep serves a role in emotional memory processing that goes beyond simple storage. Research has shown that sleep preferentially strengthens memories with emotional significance, while simultaneously reducing the intensity of feeling associated with them. This dual effect, strengthening the content while softening the feeling, appears to be a key function of REM sleep. This mechanism may be one reason that REM sleep disruption is consistently found in people with post-traumatic stress, where emotional memories remain as vivid and present as when they were first formed. Rest, in this sense, is also a form of metabolic gentleness toward experience. Newborns have no established circadian rhythm. Their sleep is organized in short cycles, distributed roughly equally across the day and night. The circadian clock takes several months to fully entrain to the light-dark cycle, and the development of the mature sleep rhythm coincides with the maturation of the suprachiasmatic nucleus and the beginning of melatonin secretion around 3 to 4 months of age. The exhaustion of new parents is not simply the result of reduced sleep hours. It is the result of sleep being taken in fragments, scattered across a 24-hour period in a pattern that moves against the parent's own circadian rhythms. Slow-wave sleep decreases with age, but there is growing evidence that this decline is not entirely fixed. Research published in Nature Aging found that regular aerobic exercise in older adults was associated with significantly higher amounts of slow-wave sleep and better glymphatic clearance markers than in sedentary age-matched controls. Other lifestyle factors, including consistent sleep scheduling, reduced alcohol intake, and temperature-optimized sleep environments, were also associated with better preservation of deep sleep in aging. The sleeping brain retains some responsiveness to the conditions it is given. It tends to offer more when it is offered more. The word hypnosis derives from hypnos, the Greek god of sleep. But hypnosis and sleep are neurologically distinct states. A person under hypnosis is not asleep. EEG studies show that hypnotic states maintain alpha wave activity consistent with wakefulness and focused attention. However, research from the University of Zurich found that among people who respond readily to hypnotic suggestion, a short hypnotic induction before sleep was associated with meaningfully more time in slow-wave sleep compared to sleep without the induction. The effect was most pronounced in those naturally susceptible to hypnosis, suggesting that the mind's receptivity to suggestion may shape the depth of the sleep that follows. Sleep restriction therapy, a core component of CBTI, may seem counterintuitive at first. It involves temporarily limiting time in bed to consolidate sleep and build homeostatic sleep pressure. A person sleeping only 5 hours of fragmented, poor quality sleep might be guided to restrict their time in bed to 5.5 hours initially, allowing them to build a stronger sleep drive. improve sleep efficiency, and then gradually extend time in bed as consolidation improves. Clinical trials consistently show that this temporary period of consolidation produces better long-term sleep quality than simply spending more time in bed, hoping sleep will come. The brain responds to moderate scarcity by making what it has more efficient. The role of serotonin in sleep is more nuanced than popular accounts suggest. Serotonin-producing neurons in the raphe nuclei of the brainstem are most active during wakefulness and decrease their activity during sleep, particularly during REM, when they are almost completely quiet. Serotonin is also the precursor to melatonin through a two-step enzymatic process in the pineal gland. Adequate light exposure during the day supports serotonin synthesis. That's serotonin, built during the day, becomes the raw material for the melatonin that facilitates sleep at night. The chemistry of daytime calm and nighttime rest are more directly linked than they appear. Sleep and creative thinking appear to share a relationship mediated by REM sleep's capacity for associative processing. Research led by Ulrich Wagner at the University of Lübeck found that participants who slept between learning a mathematical task and attempting a hidden shortcut were considerably more likely to discover the shortcut than those who remained awake. The sleeping brain, freed from the focused linear processing of wakefulness, may explore more loosely connected associations, generating combinations of existing knowledge that waking attention would not naturally reach. Sleep is not just rest. It is also where the mind plays with what it knows. The experience of falling asleep in front of the television is common, but research suggests it may come at a cost to sleep quality. Light from screens, even at low intensity, can suppress melatonin and keep the circadian system partially alert. More significantly, audio from television, with its unpredictable changes in volume and tone, creates the kind of irregular sound stimulation most associated with nighttime arousal. Studies have found that people who regularly fall asleep with the television on tend to have lower sleep quality and less slow-wave sleep than those who do not. The body can sleep in suboptimal conditions, but it tends to sleep more deeply in quiet dark. The microstructure of sleep, the fine-grained patterns of brain activity visible on a high-resolution EEG, contains information about an individual's health and cognitive state that researchers are only beginning to understand. Specific features of sleep spindles, including their density, duration, and frequency, have been associated with memory, capacity, and resilience to aging-related cognitive changes. Shifts in sleep microstructure have been detected in research participants years before the clinical onset of certain neurodegenerative conditions. Sleep, in this sense, may serve as a window, offering early information about the brain's internal state from within. Quiet sleeping environments improve sleep by reducing the frequency of cortical arousals. Brief moments of increased brain activity in response to sound that may not fully wake the sleeper, but do interrupt sleep architecture. Research from Harvard Medical School found that even very quiet background noise in a sleeping environment, below the threshold of conscious awareness, can increase the number of these micro-arousals and reduce total slow-wave sleep. The sleeping brain continues to monitor the auditory environment throughout the night. It has not stopped listening. It has simply lowered the threshold for what it considers worth responding to. The first night effect is a well-documented phenomenon in which people sleeping in an unfamiliar environment experience lighter, more fragmented sleep than they would at home. Research published in Current Biology found that during the first night in an unfamiliar location, one hemisphere of the brain shows lighter sleep patterns than the other, as if maintaining greater watchfulness in the unfamiliar space. This asymmetric sleep pattern has parallels in certain aquatic mammals and migratory birds. It appears to be an ancient protective mechanism, a form of sleeping while keeping one ear open, that persists in the human brain under conditions of environmental uncertainty. The relationship between sleep and blood pressure follows a reliable pattern. During normal sleep, blood pressure drops by 10 to 20% in what is called nocturnal dipping. This nighttime dip is associated with lower cardiovascular risk over time. People who do not show this dip have higher rates of adverse cardiovascular outcomes in large-scale studies. Research published in the European Heart Journal confirmed that both shorter sleep duration and poorer sleep quality, even in the absence of diagnosed sleep disorders, are associated with changes in this nocturnal dipping pattern. Sleep is not separate from heart health. It is part of it. The phenomenon of microsleeps, involuntary episodes lasting 1 to 30 seconds that occur during wakefulness in sleep-deprived individuals, demonstrates how persistently the brain pursues sleep homeostasis. During a microsleep, the person may appear awake to observers, with eyes open, but EEG recordings show clear signs of sleep activity. The person has no memory of the episode. Microsleeps are most concerning when they occur during tasks requiring sustained attention. Research from the AAA Foundation for Traffic Safety has found that drowsy driving is associated with a disproportionately large number of severe traffic incidents. The brain finds sleep where it can. Sleep affects the expression of genes involved in inflammation, immune function, stress, response, and metabolism. A study published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences analyzed the blood transcriptome of participants after 1 week of insufficient sleep and found that the expression of over 700 genes was measurably altered compared to when those same participants were adequately rested. These genes were concentrated in pathways associated with inflammation, immune activity, and cellular stress response. Insufficient sleep produces changes at the level of gene expression, affecting how cells interpret and respond to the environment around them. The sleep of animals across the animal kingdom reveals just how fundamental sleep is as a biological necessity. Every animal studied, from fruit flies to elephants, shows some form of sleep or sleep-like behavior. Even animals that face ongoing vulnerability during sleep have evolved ways to obtain it. Dolphins and whales use a form of sleep in which one hemisphere rests while the other remains alert. Migratory birds can perform slow-wave sleep during extended flight. The consistency of sleep across so many different evolutionary lineages suggests that it serves functions too deeply woven into biology to be set aside, even under the most demanding of circumstances. Cognitive performance in sleep-deprived individuals follows a predictable pattern. Reaction time and sustained attention are most sensitive to sleep loss and deteriorate first. Working memory and executive function follow. Emotional regulation tends to shift significantly with even mild sleep restriction. These findings help explain why sleep-deprived people often believe they are functioning well. Many cognitive functions remain relatively intact, but the ones most affected, sustained attention and emotional steadiness, are precisely the ones that shape how people interact with others and navigate the day. By this point in our journey, the answer to the question of how to fall asleep is beginning to take shape not as a single technique, but as an understanding of the system itself. Sleep onset is not a decision. It is a convergence. It happens when the homeostatic pressure has built sufficiently, when the circadian gate is open, when the core body temperature is falling, when the environment is dark and quiet and appropriately cool, when the nervous system is tilting toward calm rather than arousal, and when the mind is not working too hard against itself. Every condition that makes sleep easier is, at its root, simply a condition that allows the body to do what it already knows how to do. You might be feeling tired now. That's perfectly fine. Breathe slowly. Feel the cycles. Your body has been breathing in and out every few seconds since the day you were born. Your heart has been beating since before that. These rhythms don't need you to watch them. They just continue. Like the tides, pulling in and pulling back. Like seasons turning in the dark. You are also part of that eternal movement. You don't need to hold on to anything. Let everything unfold in its own order. Unhurried. Unresisting. Simply existing. We're almost there now. The body knows how to fall asleep. It has always known. The question is never whether sleep will come. The question is whether the conditions allow it to arrive. Every evening, the same ancient cascade begins. Adenosine rises. Temperature falls. Melatonin moves through the blood. The thalamus begins to oscillate. These events are not learned. They are inherited, written into the deepest layers of biology. The breathing slows before the mind fully releases. Most people notice this sequence without naming it. A breath that takes slightly longer than the one before. A pause at the end of the exhale that stretches, just a little. The body is telling itself something. It is saying, there is nothing pressing here. There is nothing that requires movement. There is only this breath, and then the next one. Your muscles hold the day in them. Not just fatigue, but tension from posture, from concentration, from the small adjustments the body makes all day long to meet a world that asks things of it. When you lie still and warm in the dark, that tension begins to release. Not all at once. A little in the shoulders, a little in the jaw, a little in the hands. The body gives back what the day asked of it. Slowly, in the dark. The sound of rain promotes sleep in many people because of its consistent, layered texture. It masks disruptive environmental sounds and may activate associations with shelter and safety built across long human experience. The brain interprets steady, non-threatening background sound as an environmental signal that the space is occupied, that nothing is approaching, that nothing needs monitoring. Memory consolidation during sleep is not passive. The hippocampus actively replays patterns of neural firing from the day, sending them to the cortex in ripples of activity. Each ripple carries a compressed version of an experience, a moment of learning, a face, a phrase. The cortex receives these ripples and weaves them into its existing landscape. By morning, what was new may feel familiar. What was effortful may feel slightly more within reach. The deepest slow-wave sleep of the night typically occurs in the first cycle, in the first 90 minutes after sleep onset. This is the most restorative period of the entire night for physical repair. Growth hormone peaks here. The glymphatic system begins its most active clearing. Immune surveillance is heightened. Arriving at sleep in a timely way matters not just for total sleep duration, but for whether the body is given access to this first, essential window. Dreams tonight will be shaped by experiences of the day in ways that may not be immediately obvious. Research has shown that memories from 48 to 72 hours before sleep are incorporated into dreams more frequently than memories from the immediately preceding day. This delayed incorporation may reflect a multi-stage memory consolidation process in which early REM sleep addresses emotional material, and later REM continues integrating narrative and contextual detail. Silence in the bedroom is not merely the absence of noise. It is a presence in itself. In quiet environments, the brain's default mode network can settle. The auditory cortex reduces its vigilant monitoring. The body's arousal systems lower their background tone. Silence is physiologically distinct from noise. Some sleep researchers describe the quiet bedroom as a biological permission slip, a signal to the nervous system that the external world requires nothing of the body tonight. The temperature of your feet is a reliable indicator of how close sleep is. As warm blood moves to the extremities and core temperature falls, sleep onset tends to follow. Wearing socks to bed, for those who find it comfortable, has been shown in studies to support this process by facilitating the distal proximal temperature gradient. The feet, the body's most distant outposts, are among the first to warm when sleep is on its way. The sensation of heaviness that comes with approaching sleep is not imagined. As muscle tone decreases and the brain begins to reduce voluntary motor activity, the body releases its waking postural engagement. The weight of the body against the bed becomes more fully felt. Gravity becomes more present. This heaviness is one of the most reliable physical signatures of the transition into sleep, a moment when the body finally agrees to be held by the surface beneath it, rather than holding itself up against the world. The brain produces its own sleep-promoting substances beyond melatonin and adenosine. Prostaglandin D2, a lipid compound, is one of the most potent endogenous sleep-promoting factors identified. It is produced in the brain's choroid plexus and acts on receptors in the hypothalamus and basal forebrain. Delta sleep-inducing peptide, another endogenous compound identified in the 1970s, was shown to increase slow-wave sleep when studied in animal models. The brain does not passively wait for sleep to arrive. It manufactures the conditions for it from within. The feeling of almost being asleep, of hovering at the edge, of thoughts becoming loosely connected and narrative logic dissolving, is the hypnagogic state. Some of the most quietly creative and associative thinking in human experience happens here, in this borderland. Edison reportedly used to nap holding steel balls in his hands, so that when he fell asleep and his grip loosened, the balls would clatter to the floor and return him to waking. He wanted to catch himself at the threshold, to gather the half-formed ideas that live there. REM sleep in the final cycles of the night can last up to an hour. By 6 or 7 in the morning, a naturally sleeping adult may be spending most of each 90-minute cycle in extended REM. This is when the most complex, narrative-rich dreaming tends to occur. It is also when many people are most likely to wake naturally and find their dreams still present. The morning dreams, the ones most vivid and easiest to hold, are the brain's final creative session before the day begins. Consistent sleep and wake times, even on weekends, appear to be among the most meaningful adjustments a person can make for sleep quality. This consistency anchors the circadian clock, strengthening the amplitude of the melatonin signal, the cortisol rhythm, and the adenosine cycle. Research from the University of Pittsburgh Sleep Medicine Institute found that sleep regularity, a measure of how consistent a person's sleep timing is, predicted health outcomes independently of sleep duration. How regular the sleep is may matter as much as how long it is. The transition into sleep is sometimes described as a small letting go, not a decision, but a release. The prefrontal cortex, the seat of planning and deliberate thought, begins to quiet. The parts of the brain that ask what needs to be done tomorrow, that review what happened today, that calculate and compare and wonder, they soften their grip on consciousness. What remains is something older and quieter. The brainstem, still watching over breathing and heartbeat. The thalamus, beginning its slow oscillation. The body, warm and heavy and tended. Sleep needs vary from night to night. After periods of high cognitive activity, extended learning, or illness, the body tends to draw more slow-wave sleep than usual and may extend total sleep time naturally. Research shows that the brain adjusts the depth of each night's sleep in response to the preceding day's demands with remarkable precision. The body keeps its own accounting, and it tends to ask for exactly what it needs, when it needs it. The words rest and sleep are often used interchangeably, but they are not the same. Quiet wakefulness, with eyes closed, does provide some benefit, including reduced nervous system activity and some psychological ease. But it does not produce the glymphatic clearance of slow-wave sleep, the memory consolidation of spindle activity, the emotional processing of REM, or the hormonal cycling that sleep generates. Rest is valuable. Sleep is something different, something deeper. The quality of the last thought before sleep may matter more than is commonly recognized. Research on the hypnagogic state suggests that the cognitive and emotional content present at sleep onset can influence dream content and the emotional tone of sleep. People who engage in brief positive mental imagery or quiet gratitude before sleep report more positive dream content and better subjective sleep quality than those whose pre-sleep thoughts are ruminative or unsettled. The mind does not stop at the threshold. It carries what you bring to it. The biological purpose of yawning remains genuinely uncertain, though one current theory suggests it may serve a brain-cooling function. Yawning increases blood flow to the skull and draws in cooler air, potentially helping to regulate brain temperature. Consistent with this, yawning frequency tends to increase in the period just before sleep onset, when the brain is actively cooling, and decreases once sleep begins. If this interpretation is accurate, the quiet yawn in the last moments before sleep is the brain's own version of opening a window. You have done this before, not just last night or the night before, but thousands of times. In every season of your life, every version of you that has ever been tired has found the same threshold, the same quiet border between the day and the dark. And every time, the body has known what to do. It has slowed. It has cooled. It has let the signals rise that were building since morning. And it has crossed. Tonight is no different. Tonight, the body knows exactly where it is going. Sleep is one of the oldest behaviors in the animal kingdom. The molecular pathways that regulate sleep in fruit flies share meaningful similarities with those in humans. This conservation, across hundreds of millions of years of separate evolution, speaks to how fundamental sleep is. Not as a habit or a preference, but as a biological imperative, woven into the fabric of what it means to be alive, to have a nervous system, to need recovery from the work of existing in the world. The brain at rest, in the final moments before sleep, is not empty. It is full of something quieter than thought, something below language, a sense of warmth, a sense of weight, the auditory world softening at its edges, the visual field, even behind closed eyes, darkening toward uniform black. The self, in some sense, beginning to become less fixed, less certain of its own edges. The brain in these final seconds is not finishing. It is beginning. You are safe here. The body knows this. The nervous system is performing its nightly check of all available information. The temperature of the room, the sounds in the environment, the familiarity of the surface beneath you. And it is finding, in each of these assessments, that nothing requires its vigilance tonight. The parasympathetic system is completing its shift. The sympathetic system is standing down. The body is giving itself permission, not because you asked it to, but because the conditions are right, and the signals are saying, here. The last fact before sleep is not really a fact. It is more like a noticing that the breath has become very slow, that the thoughts, if there are still thoughts, have become loosely connected, gently strange, that the boundary between listening and dreaming has become soft, that you are not quite here anymore, not quite anywhere. This is the threshold. This is the place the body has been moving towards since early morning. It has arrived. You have arrived. Sleep is a gift the body gives itself, every night, without asking for gratitude or acknowledgement. It is the oldest kindness, the most reliable repair, the one thing the body always knows how to offer, when the conditions finally allow. Tonight, the conditions allow, and the gift is already on its way. And so, our quiet journey through the science of sleep comes to a gentle close. We've traveled from the first chemical signals of adenosine building in the brain, through the intricate architecture of sleep cycles and the elegant work of the glymphatic system, to the final soft threshold where wakefulness dissolves. From the precise oscillations of the thalamus to the emotional alchemy of REM sleep, we've glimpsed how sleep is both ancient and immediate, both biological and deeply personal. What began as a question, how to fall asleep, turned into something wider, an understanding that the body is always already moving towards sleep, building toward it, preparing for it, and that the most profound thing we can allow ourselves to do is simply let it arrive. Sleep reminds us that not everything valuable happens in the light. Much of the most important work occurs in silence, in the dark, in the hours we are least aware. The brain consolidating what it loves, the body repairing what the day asked of it, the nervous system settling what words could not quite hold. By pausing to understand this, we come a little closer to trusting the night, and perhaps to trusting ourselves. In these final minutes, take the deepest breath you can, as deep as possible. Think about unity, of every system working together in this moment. Every cell, every hormone, every electrical oscillation in the dark of your brain. You are not a collection of separate parts trying to sleep. You are one thing, one continuous, conscient, breathing thing. Let your entire being dissolve into the quiet that comes after understanding. No boundaries left between you and rest. No edges between the listener and the dark. Prepare for deep sleep. Only peace. Only this. If this gentle journey through sleep science helped you understand your own body a little better tonight, or simply helped you feel more ready to let go, a quiet like or subscribe could help another sleepy soul find their way here tonight. One soft tap, one more peaceful night for someone still searching for rest. But there's no need to do anything now. Nothing at all. You've traveled far tonight, through chemistry and cycles, through the dreaming brain and the cooling body, through everything the science of sleep quietly knows about you. You can allow these thoughts to fade now, like the last edges of a dream dissolving into morning light, leaving only a soft, undisturbed calm behind. Let your breathing deepen. Let your body feel heavier, as if the slow, patient weight of deep sleep has finally arrived at the bed and is settling around you, simply holding you. If sleep comes, let it carry you the way a tide returns to the shore, unhurried, pulled by something larger than effort, into a realm where time and weight no longer matter. If your eyes are still open, the next video is waiting for you, ready to continue the journey. But if they're closed, stay there. Stay in the darkness that feels safe and warm. Tomorrow, the adenosine will begin to build again. The circadian clock will begin its slow turn. But tonight belongs to stillness. Rest well, sleepy soul. And remember, the body has always known the way to sleep. Good night.